Welcome aboard Flight 121. A lot of people don't like flying. Most people don't like snakes.
Who's your daddy now, bitch?
There's something really creepy about having thousands of snakes in a confined area.
It's supposed to scare you to death.
It's a train ride that you get on and you can't get off it.
It's a roller coaster. It just goes.
Have a nice flight.
The genesis for the idea really was about people's two biggest fears and sort of putting them both together. I mean, most people that you meet are scared of snakes, I certainly am, and most people are scared of flying. What happens if you put those two fears together? You know, what happens if, God forbid, a snake gets loose on a plane? And they take that one step further, well, okay, what happens if 100 snakes get loose on a plane and there's nowhere to land? Where do you go? You're stuck, you're screwed. You're in a silver tube, 35,000 feet above the ground, and snakes are getting loose and falling into your lap. It's terror.
Everybody to the front! Don't panic! Go, go!
Agent Flynn is the perfect Sam Jackson vehicle in that he's cocky, he's very sure of himself.
Do as I say, and you live.
He's a hard ass. Everybody knows he can kill a motherfucker.
I think in any disaster movie, you have to have characters that you create that you like, some you dislike, but they all represent something, a spectrum of people that you could identify with.
I'm afraid only Coach is available.
Coach?
There's pop culture identification. You know, you had a character that's sort of like Paris Hilton, and then you got the rapper and his bodyguard, the guy who's a complete jerk that's on the plane. So you have a lot of different standard characters that are there.
I was hoping you'd be the Sky Candy on this flight.
It sort of did start out taking characters who were archetypical and then adding flesh to them. And certainly the rapper character, you know, he's sort of an amalgamation of these kind of like egotistical rappers that you see.
Could you let her know not to touch me, son?
Oh, please, don't touch the man. Man don't like to be touched.
But it was also, how do we make him three-dimensional? And so I wanted to say, well, what if he's a touch freak? How's that interesting? Especially when snakes get loose and you're all crammed to this tiny little space.
The ensemble cast on our movie is an amazing cast. And the process of getting that cast together was really just looking at each character and making sure that each character was cast perfectly to be that person.
You okay?
Yeah.
It's quite a pleasure to be in that confined space because you're forced to work together.
It's sort of hot, you know, and crowded on that plane, you know, to have that many people there. And it's generally fun for me to have relationships with different people who are on the plane.
It was fun because there was about 25 main cabin members that you're with every day. There was such a variety, it never got boring.
Oh, seat cushion. That's good.
And it would be one thing if we all hated each other, but we just all get along so well.
I think that's really important because otherwise it would be a long few months.
It's not a hard thing. It's no attitude. Everyone works together. We work fast. We have fun in between takes. Everybody's really cool.
Everybody strap in! I'm about to open some fucking windows.
Okay, great. Let's do one more, guys. Really good.
It's really important how the director is because he transmits to all the people, all the crew, all the cast.
This is a little awkward.
You know, it always trickles down from the top. I don't think anyone would say that they had a bad day on this shoot.
I always look at film like I'm an audience member sitting there watching the film, and the things that I want to see a character do that makes sense and not just being heroic for heroic's, you know, sake. And David's been very open to that.
Sensible thing to do. Start a chain on each aisle. Pulling strap, passing. One person there putting it in.
I think he captured the environment really well, and also because he is a stunt master, it's going to be incredibly realistic.
Action! No!
David did a smart thing first by hiring, you know, the DP that he did, because he actually worked with us on Sphere. So he knows how to work in a contained space and do interesting things with the cameras.
It's difficult to make a movie on a plane and keep the audience engrossed in it, even if there are snakes, because you're in one space and it's a small space. He saw it as a challenge to make every shot interesting. There's a lot of camera movement.
Adam is very funny. I enjoy Adam. Stand over here a little bit.
Now you're talking, okay? Hold there, just good enough.
His camera, move. Yes, close in his camera. Okay, it's good.
Good. You're right, understand. Good.
I've never seen a set that was so prepared visually.
Okay, I'm gonna put you on my back. We're gonna move towards the front, okay? You're gonna be fine. We'll do this together. Ready? Let's go. Come on. Up. That's it.
It's the first time that I've ever built a plane of this size and done all of the mechanical effects that we've been doing to it for this length of time. It was quite a ride from day one because we only had a short amount of time to do a lot of work. And it first started with illustrations that I showed David, and we were going for this sort of tropical, South Pacific, Hawaiian style. And fortunately for me, I happened to be in a skateboard shop one day and came across a skateboard from the Surf One company, and asked if I could borrow their design. It's this beautiful floral pattern, and we sort of adapted it for the use in our plane. I had a great design team working with me that allowed me the opportunity to three-dimensionally visualize the entire process as we were designing it. Fortunately for us, somebody that I've used in the past had just bought a plane, and we were able to purchase bits and pieces of it that enabled us to sort of scavenge and rebuild one the way that we wanted. Ultimately, we wound up with a two-story plane that's rocking and rolling.
You can bring the head up into frame.
Making the movie was a real technical challenge. He had the challenge of all the technical aspects of shaking the plane and moving the plane, and how are you going to create realistic turbulence and make it look really cool.
How are you doing?
It's kind of like coming to work and getting on a big amusement park ride. The hydraulics are working the plane, and we're kind of stumbling around. And, you know, there's a snake over here that pops out. You kind of react to the snake that pops out. I've been tortured on a few films, and this is not the worst torture I've had.
And let's build a wall. Come on, let's go.
The first time it went into it, I got really nauseous. It was nauseating. It's like trying to drive and read at the same time.
Everyone, please stay seated.
It gets pretty crazy on that plane.
You okay?
Yeah.
My knees are getting better. They were both purple last week from just getting nailed to the ground over and over and over again. But I love them. They're good war wounds.
Get another bag! Where are all the bags?
They built the tube of the plane on this hydraulic piece of machinery, really, so that they can drop the plane, they can tilt it this way. Crazy, crazy turbulence.
I mean, it's an amazing adventure how they've got the plane rigged up.
We anticipated to use the turbulence for some of the movie, but I think it works so genuinely well. It brings an element of surprise to everybody on the set, including the actors. It motivates them really well. So we seem to use it even a lot more than what we need to. This is called a motion base. This motion base is 100 feet long and 24 feet wide and weighs roughly 100,000 pounds, which is a considerable amount of weight. Basically, the system is based on air and air only. The air is constantly fed into the bag, so as I make bags lose air, the set dances around like a little ballerina. You got 12 airbags in this system, and they can be run independently, one at a time, to create minor turbulent moves, or they could be dropped 6 on one side, 6 on the other, or any combination within. This is the biggest one we've ever built, and 2 of the largest compressors we could find in North America to run it. So yeah, it's quite a system. It uses about $1,200 worth of diesel fuel a day. I'd love to think it's really high tech, but it's not. It's pretty much straightforward electronics. We throw a switch, it moves. Simple as that, like a wall switch.
Oh, here comes the turbulence.
Everybody move forward!
I've done action before, and I've been in enclosed spaces, and I've been around smoke, but never all together like this, and never with snakes.
We would tell every actor that we were auditioning that there would be live snakes on the set. And some people either just would not come to audition and told the casting director, I'm sorry, I just can't deal with it. The idea of being on a set with snakes, I just could never do that.
I think everybody's got a little phobia of snakes. I don't care what they say.
Help me!
I'm surprised to find out how many people are terrified of snakes. People are like, oh, a movie about snakes?
I thought I was fine around them, but then you get around them and you kind of inch back a little bit, so it's definitely scary.
Don't look at them funny, anybody.
I'm not a snake person. I cannot go near a snake. It's not that I don't love them, I just don't want to cuddle one.
I knew I was doing a movie about snakes and that there were going to be snakes in the movie, and I expected, to encounter them in some kind of way. I was okay with them. It's kind of cool.
I've never really come across snakes before, so they were really foreign to me. I didn't want to become too familiar with them early on because I wanted to keep that sense of fear.
The snakes didn't really worry me. Just making sure my will was done. I had my will and testament.
Oh, fuck! Oh, fuck! Get this fucking snake off my ass! Oh, stop!
I respect any animal. When people say, oh, no, they don't bite, I'm like, anything with teeth bites.
I absolutely love snakes. Got no fear at all. I think they're amazing creatures. It's actually little dogs that annoy me.
At least get that vermin to shut up.
When we started, it was imperative to get what we felt was really the best snake wrangler in the business, and I do believe Jules is that. He has such a respect for each and every person that comes into contact. He will never, ever force upon you, oh, come on, it's just a snake, none of that.
If you don't feel comfortable, you just say, I'm not comfortable, it's absolutely fine.
But they are right there, so that if anybody was having an issue, they are right there to deal with it.
Working with Jules was amazing. He's also like the crocodile of snake guys. He even dresses like that with those khaki shorts and all that stuff. He's classic.
Oh, that's going to hurt if you get your ear. The one thing about this movie is I really like it. It's got probably the most amount of snakes I've ever dealt with on one show. And we got 450 snakes. I brought it from California. Now the good thing about it, none of them are venomous. It's non-venomous snakes. I got some really cheeky ones that'll bite the hell out of you. Oh yeah, oh, he's very angry. One of the reasons we only have so few people with so many snakes is I can't get that many people on an aircraft. It's really limited space.
Stay, good girl.
So I've got probably 2 people handing me snakes in buckets and then watching for people and yelling if there's a snake on the floor, I say, snake! And people jump over the snake as opposed to stomping on it. There are no stomping of any snakes whatsoever.
And then you have to make sure that you collect them all and they all go back in the boxes because they will go in any hole or dark place that they can.
I'll wait right here in case something pops up.
In the real snakes, it's been difficult for Jules because you can't sit there and train them in the off time. They do what they want to do, and we've actually decided to do a little more with visual effects.
Obviously, when we're dealing with the poisonous snakes, you can never put those in a set. These are snakes, if they bite you, you're dead. We have to put them in CG later on.
What we found is that the real snakes certainly don't move fast enough to be scary. So the idea was to kind of, in a sense, walk away from that using more of a CG, an animated snake that'll be done digitally.
What it allows us to do is to enhance them so we can give a bit of personality, because we do have quote-unquote hero snakes. We have certain snakes in the movie that are the really bad snakes, are really aggressive and really come after people.
If somebody swipes at a real snake, it's either going to go away and retreat, or they're going to hit it. With our movie, when that happens, they can recoil, but then come right back. So they can be really aggressive, and they can do such specific action. I can totally choreograph anything that I want that snake to do. So it's like I have the best trained snake in the world.
After David and I agree on what the action should be and where we think the camera should be, I bring in a storyboard artist and I work with them to flush out that shot and the surrounding shots, and those are animated. We've used them as a tool to get the shot that we want on set.
It's a freaking dog lady!
After the cameras are off, we take detailed lighting plans, heights and distances from the CG subject. Essentially, what we're trying to do is in post, we're going to place lights for the CG snake. The reason that's useful, of course, is that When we put the 3D snake in the environment, the only thing that ever makes the audience believe it's actually there is the lighting. That's really important because if the snake was here and you're the camera, and you're going to see that as a tiny little light on the glassy part of the eye.
We just lost avionics.
I've always said to the companies that were working with me that it wasn't so much, in my opinion, getting the texture right on a snake. The real key here is animation and integration. They have to be realistic, where when you look into the mouth, you go, geez, that's got to be a real snake. One of the companies has actually gone as far as buying a python, just to see how it moves. Observation, very, very important. We go from there to finishing the lighting, and there's some smoke that's been on set. In compositing, we'll layer that in on top of the 3D animation to really sandwich it in. This is a unique situation, one that's never been done before, and hopefully in succeeding, the audience will feel just what I felt when I first walked on and contemplated the idea of being stuck on a plane with a bunch of snakes.
Airplane movies, I think, in general, there is always an underlying tension to them because inevitably you're up in the air, you have no control, and no matter what you defeat up in the air, you still have to get on the ground.
There are a lot of things that are being mixed here. The airplane film has always been sort of something, plane in jeopardy. People, either, plane's about to crash, they're in a storm, the engine blows up. There's that. Then you have the horror genre, things slithering around, popping up out of nowhere.
In the old airplane movies, you didn't see no black people. So now you have Samuel L. Jackson. So I think it's a little, a little different.
I have had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
I think it stands by itself. Seeing those other movies, I think this stands by itself.
It's the train wreck. I can't watch it, and yet I can't help myself. Our goal and dream here is that really people will be doing this.
Between the snakes, the plane, the special effects, and the makeup and all that, it's so visually stimulating. You have a fantastic thriller.
Woo! Yeah! Yeah!
That's my boy Troy, yes!
Woo!
Let's ride.